There is a secret to developing good habits. Watch this video and find out how. Good habits. We all have a lot of bad ones, right? So how do we actually end up with good ones? You replace one to another, right? Well, if it was that easy. A lot of times we know what the habit is that we actually need to have. We have an idea of what we rather do instead of the thing we're doing. But for some reason it just doesn't happen. Now, part of it is self-discipline. It just really takes a lot of effort to be able to switch from something we've been doing that's not beneficial to ourselves to something that we know is much more beneficial. It takes effort. Consciousness takes effort. Without effort, we just slowly drown in a swamp of unconsciousness and go on autopilot. And autopilot means lower self is driving. So, the question then becomes about our good habits. Simply, how do we get the lower self out of the driver's seat so that another part of us, ideally the soul or the higher self, can be the driver? So what most people do is they try to replace their lower self driver with the ego as a driver. Now, ego is your regular operating personality. That's where your willpower lives, or doesn't. And lower self is the part of you that has fears and defenses that are sort of built up from childhood and other lifetimes as well. So, let's say you want to change who's driving. You want to stop doing something that you know is detrimental. And you have an idea what you should be doing. So then you use your willpower and you force yourself to do the right thing. What do you think will happen? Yeah, it's going to last a bit and then the lower self is going to have a tantrum, blow up, kick the ego right out of the car and start driving. So there's probably a better way. And the better way has to do with looking as to why is it that the lower self is driving. It's driving because there is an emotional connection. In other words, we need to want something emotionally. Then it's easy, right? It's easy to be in the lower self and have a behavior that's quite detrimental, no matter how much we know that it's not good for us. It's still kind of easy, but it's hard to do something good for ourselves. The reason for that is because doing something good requires effort, and then it doesn't feel emotionally as happy. It doesn't feel like it's easy. So in order to connect your emotions to whatever it is that you want to do, you need to find out what is the bigger reason as to why you want to change something. It's not just like, oh, I want to lose weight so that I feel sexy. You need to figure out how to feel sexy right now. Then the weight will come off, if that's the reason. Or I need to make money in order to be free. Well, you need to figure out how to be free right now, inside your energy field. Then there is no pressure on making money, and money could be made. In other words, every time we think that we want to do something good, like be proactive and follow through with particular structure in our lives, if we look at that situation from what is the energy we're chasing, and then how to give it to ourselves right now in this moment, we will actually be able to do the task, because now the task has been freed from the harshness of us pushing ourselves to do it. This pressure that we put on ourselves in order to make something happen, that's because there's a resistance from the lower self, right? So if your lower self is like your emotional child inside, you need to convince that child that she or he wants to do whatever it is that you know is a beneficial behavior. It has to desire to do that. So, as I said, if let's say you want to lose weight, then it's not about, oh, I want to be sexy, because that's actually the not enoughness speaking. But if you tune into how there is a yummy feeling in your body and ease of movement and a pleasure of being able to be, let's say, smaller size, now your lower self is actually on board because it wants that experience. And in order to get it, yes, it has to do certain things like not eat cake or whatever. So same thing for making money. If you know that there's certain things that you need to do to, let's say, start your business or begin some product expansion or something that you've been trying to do but somehow unable because you just don't have enough time or you procrastinate or you're scared. If you look at what is it that you're actually after, why do you want this product expansion? Why do you want this new business or whatever? What's the cause internally? Let's say the cause is I want to create something I want to participate in instead of the job that I have. Or the cause is it's a means to create freedom to travel and go around the world. Okay, now you need to tune into the experience of, let's say, being free. Then the money to get that travel to happen will come. So, in other words, in order to do the action that then becomes a habit, instead of forcing ourselves with the will to make it happen, we need to connect the emotion of desire to that action. If desire is connected to what lower self is wanting, then all you got is willpower and that's going to run out eventually. But if desire is connected to the goal of what the good habit's supposed to bring, and there is no lack, like you're starting from abundance because you already gave yourself internally, experientially, a way to sort of feel in your system, in your body, as if you have already arrived. Then following through becomes easier because you're sort of having a goal in mind, but it's emotional. It's like, oh, I already got a taste of that and I really like the taste, so I'm going to continue with this because I want to keep having the taste. In other words, you're switching this sort of addictive mechanism that our amygdala in the brain, this part of the brain that looks like a little horseshoe, that it generates this addictive behavior, and everybody's addicted one way or another, but most people are addicted in a lower self way because they don't apply effort. But if effort is applied, so then consciousness runs the show, higher self. Now you can utilize the same mechanism in your brain for sort of addictive behavior, but towards a correct action. So that's how you create this amazing magic in good habits sort of happening with ease instead of hardship. If you're watching this video on anything other than my Transcension Gate website, please visit and click that blue button to sign up if you haven't yet, so that you can get support from Solar Council and Kaddish to beings on your journey. Be free, be love, be God.